What's going on, guys? This is Corey from Lion Dads. I help my fellow dads get back in shape and get healthy with a carnivore diet and back to basic exercise. And in today's video, I kind of want to go over some of the different issues I was having before I started this diet. The different ailments, if you will. I decided the best way to kind of go over these is to break them down in like a top 5 format. I'm sure that I have a lot more issues that was fixed than just 5, but these are the ones that were most noticeable for me. Before we get into it, I do want you guys to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, go down and join me in the comment section, talk about some of the things that maybe you want to get fixed or that maybe you saw when you started the diet. And so, like I said, there's a lot more of these ailments that I had, but these stand out as the most noticeable for me. They aren't in any particular order in the video, but I think they kind of did get placed a little bit organically, right? Like naturally without me thinking about it, by how I view them and how they've kind of impacted my life over time. When I just started making the list, they just kind of came out and then I reversed them. So without further ado, let's go. So my number 5 issue is going to be joint pain. So throughout my adult life, I would say, I've had a pretty active early life as far as childhood, and then moving on into my early adult life, being in the military, deployments to Iraq several times, things like that. Just had experienced a lot of wear and tear on my body. I ended up, and then obviously fluctuating weight issues and things like that also didn't help with some of the joint pain and things like that. I did a lot of physical therapy, took a lot of ibuprofen over my life, things like that. Things just I started just having to learn how to live with and kind of deal with them. And these things are they get normalized for a lot of people. We get to a point where we have all this pain and all this stuff, and we just learn to kind of live with it. And, it doesn't have to be that way, obviously. And when I started fixing my diet through this carnivore, animal-based way of eating, that's when I really noticed that those inflammation, those joint pains, I don't know if things were just healing inside, but it all started going away. And it was a little weird at first. You kind of get to a point where you're like, something doesn't feel right. Something feels kind of messed up. And then as you go on, you realize, I've been living with pain so long that it became my new normal. And so when those pain issues start going away, then you start to realize, this is what actually feeling good feels like. And it leads you just being more active. You're able to do more things. And coupled with some of the other things on this list, it just led to a more fulfilling life once all these like different joint pain and things like that kind of went away. So that would be my number 5, would be the, joint pain kind of going away. My number 4 issue that kind of went away, or definitely went away with this diet, was some skin issues that I used to have. I used to have a lot of skin issues. Some of them were related to another thing on this list that's coming up in a little bit. I'm not going to spoil that though. But I had, some breakout stuff. I would get eczema kind of things around my nose, like on the sides and underneath where my kind of mustache is now. I would have a lot of problems, especially when I was eating really bad, like highly processed stuff. Like these skin outbreaks would happen. Another thing that's really plagued me my whole life that I was always I hated it when I was a kid all the way up. It's literally my whole life. I used to have really dry skin. My whole life I've had really dry skin. I have probably kept numerous lotion companies in business. I was like always putting lotion on my skin when I was a kid, trying to find ways to moisten my skin up. I'd get a lot of really dry, cracking stuff going on in my skin. And I mean, literally, it bothered me for years and years. I'd get, like, when I'd come out of the shower or the pool, my skin would dry out really bad. I'd be like, oh my God, it would drive me literally crazy. It led to a lot of issues, a lot of like problems where I was just, literally for my sanity almost, it drove me nuts, these dry skin issues that I've always had my whole life. And oddly enough, I start eating a meat-based animal diet, and my skin just feels great all the time. I barely ever put lotion on. I don't get any kind of cracking or blistering in my hands and some of those between my fingers and stuff like I used to get. And my skin is just really 100% better. And it's awesome. One other skin issue that I've always had my whole life was sunburn. I've got real fair skin. And I'd go outside for 5 minutes. You turn the TV on and I'd get a sunburn. It was crazy how sunburn just has affected me my whole life. I'd get it to the point where I'd blister up really bad, everything. I've always had to put sunscreen on, like just going out and mowing the yard for 10 minutes. I better had a sunscreen on, and I think there's a lot of toxic chemical bullshit in sunscreen that's affecting people really bad. If you look at the back of it, there's so many ingredients in sunscreen you can't even pronounce. Some of the stuff I looked up that doesn't even really come up with what it is in a Google search. And since I started this diet, I've noticed that I don't sunburn as bad. I'll get a little red. My son's in sports. We just got done with track season, and that's literally hours and hours and hours, almost a whole day out in the sun in a track meet kind of setting. And this whole season, I didn't put sunscreen on once. I didn't get, I'd get a little red, but then I come home and within, definitely by the next day, that sunburn, that little redness is kind of gone out of my skin. It's turned into tan, so there's a lot of questions about that kind of stuff as far as sunburn versus sunscreen. It's in this space, it's kind of, especially when you get into like the seed oil type space, cutting out seed oils, the sunburn versus sunscreen topic gets a little hot online, and I've seen it, but that's been my experience with it. So that's my number 4, is it cleared up a lot of these kind of skin issues that I was having. So number 3 is another big one, and that would be some sleep issues, sleep problems that I've had a lot of my adult life. I've had days where I don't sleep or can't get a good night's sleep. I think a lot of it was, related to breathing, sleep apnea type stuff, and just not getting a fulfilling good night of sleep. And in the last 4 years that I've been doing this, my sleep issues have become non-existent. I lay down, I go out pretty fast, and I wake up. It's crazy. I don't even really have to set an alarm anymore. My body just naturally, I kind of have trained it to where I just wake up naturally around between 5 and 6 a.m. every day. So I think, clearing up some of my respiratory problems, definitely with the weight loss and things like that, has affected my sleep in a highly positive way. And I wouldn't have fixed these sleep issues without this way of eating. All right, number 2 is a big one for me. Number 2 almost took over the number 1 spot. It's that important for me. It's been a huge, huge deal for me, and that is my history and my issues with allergies. Growing up as a kid, allergies were debilitating to me. Absolutely restricting and debilitating. When you ever hear somebody, go outside and smell the fresh cut grass, I love it. That sounds like that always sounded like hell to me because of my issues with allergies. I remember having to go out with my dad and he had a landscaping business when I was a kid, and I'd go out and help him, make a few bucks or whatever. And it was hell on earth for me. I would just, by the end of the day, I would have to go into my room, take a Benadryl, lay down, and I basically would just crash because my allergies were so bad. Grass, pollen, certain trees and things. I remember back when I was in the Air Force, I went to a doctor and they did a blood withdrawal from me, and they tested my allergies, and the sheet came out. It was 3 pages long of things that I was allergic to. And I thought it was nuts. Like, they were like, this is a huge list of things you're allergic to. Different animals, pet dander, stuff like that. Cats were a big one for me. I was always like super allergic to cats. And I'm an animal lover, man. I hate not being able to, like, I see an animal, I'm like, oh, that thing's awesome, but I can't go near it because, it would just be debilitating for me. But in the last 4 years, most of these issues have gone away. Like, I'm able to, like, if you bring a cat around me now, I'll have no issues. I have a friend who has a cat, and I go over their house all the time, and it's not a problem. I cut my grass now, go out. I helped my wife plant some flowers the other day. This is stuff that would have absolutely, like, put me down, 4 or 5 years ago. And it's nice to go out and kind of get to do this stuff out in the sunshine and do yard work, which is super relaxing and, just something you got to do, right? So allergies were a big one that were a big deal for me, and that alone makes having to not have to deal with these allergy issues makes me want to do this the rest of my life, because just that in and of itself has been just a huge weight off my shoulders and just a huge relief on my life. So my number one issue that has been fixed with this way of eating, and I think everybody kind of knows what's coming. It would be number one for, I think, the vast majority of you that got on here, and that would be my struggle with my weight. And that is just a given. When I started this way of eating, that was what brought me here in the first place. My weight issues, I think, were causing a lot of these problems. Not all of them, because I lost vast amounts of weight in the past that I wasn't able to keep off, but these issues never went away. But with this way of eating, taking my weight off, it's easy to lose weight, but it's easier for me to manage weight as well. I've kind of taught myself on this diet, and it was really easy versus other diets, how to actually, like, if I want to gain weight, I can do that. If I want to lose weight, I can do that, and I know how. I know what kind of things to do, and they're super simple. I've got videos talking about, like, cutting versus bulking and stuff like that if you want to go check those out. But I got on this diet like I told everybody, and boom, like 60 something pounds came off just like that. And then the crazy thing was, I've lost that much weight before on other types of diets, but I felt good. I didn't lose any strength in my weightlifting or energy. I didn't lose any energy, and I was able to keep it off and then manage it. So if I wanted to gain 10 pounds, I can gain 10 pounds. If I want to lose 10, 20 more pounds, I can lose 10 to 20 more pounds. I know how to do it now. And it's not anything that I had to think crazy hard. I don't have to use apps to track. I don't have to do all this stuff. It's just kind of an intuition thing when you start eating the right way. So definitely the weight loss would be the number one thing that brought me here. And like the allergies at number 2, pretty much all these, just any one of those things being fixed is good enough to keep me here probably for the rest of my life. So that should about do it today, guys. As always, there's links to Twitter and Facebook down in the description of the video, my social media stuff. I need to do a better job posting on those places. But, busy life, right? Also, head over to lion-dads.com. There's a link down in the description to that as well. And you can get a hold of me there or just learn more about the carnivore diet. Also, there's a link at the top where you can get on my email list and join my online Discord community. Lion Dads, we go over all kinds of different ways that you can level up as a dad. Not just restricted to diet and fitness stuff, but there's stuff for professional growth, entrepreneurship, money management, marriage advice, parenting advice, all that kind of stuff. So that's it for today. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.